The European Central Bank hikes interest rates again to fight inflation, but at a slower pace. And we take a look at how China's younger generation is shaping the country's future and its labor market. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Michelle Vandenberg. A private sector survey is suggesting that the growth of China's manufacturing sector slowed in April over softer demand. The Caixin Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index fell to 49.5 in April from 50 in the previous month, going below the 50 point that marks growth from contraction. According to the survey, the softer reading was due to weaker than anticipated new orders, dampening output. Now, China saw immense traffic volumes nationwide over the Labor Day holiday, which began on Saturday and ended Wednesday. The Ministry of Transport had estimated passenger volumes will surpass 270 million trips during the 5-day break, more than a 163% increase from last year. There have been about 1.5 million trips to Hong Kong and another 500,000 trips to Macau. Official data shows the country's tourism revenue during the holiday reached over $21.4 billion, up almost 130% from last year. Sales figures from major food and beverage companies saw a 58% surge year-on-year. Cultural tourism is on the rise in China this Labor Day holiday. CGTN's Zhang Siren has more from a cherry blossom festival in Dalian City.
Traditional dancing under the blossoms. The 15th Dalian Cherry Blossom Festival in northeastern China's Liaoning province kicked off during the Labor Day holiday.
This dance is adapted from the dance drama Confucius. We want to present the story of 7 girls strolling and picking flowers in a cherry garden. The classical dance genre originates from China. I'm proud to learn and perform the style.
The festival is one of the best places to get a sense of the recovery of China's consumer market. Visitors wearing traditional Chinese costumes are here to promote cultural heritage and to experience a sense of time travel during the holiday season.
I grew up in Dalian. My parents used to take me here and I visit the festival with friends almost every year. I'm wearing hanfu today to take pictures and share them on social media. The costume is part of our traditional culture. I believe my family and friends will praise the beauty of the dress and the cherry garden.
This year, the festival is encouraging visitor participation and interaction, looking to promote culture and tourism in Lushunkou district of Dalian City.
We provide diverse activities and performances inspired by traditional culture and poetry. There are also night tours, camping sites, as well as tea ceremonies. We offer tourists an experience that integrates tourism, atmosphere, culture, and leisure. The presence of singers, influencers, and bands will also spice up the festival.
We carried out a series of cultural tourism events with Shandong province to further boost the market. We launched a cherry blossom-themed cruise ship which sails to Changdao Island. We also began offering cross-sea packages with Penglai district with 50% off tickets or free admission to more than 10 sites. In the future, branding is of greater importance for us to boost tourism.
The Cherry Blossom Festival is said to have attracted around 20,000 visitors a day and will run until mid-May. Zhang Siren, CGTN, Dalian City.
During the recent Labor Day holiday here, temples around the country have also become trendy destinations for tourists, especially the young people in China. Our reporter Xu Yi takes a closer look at how this benefits the economy.
Tapping on electronic wooden fish, burning virtual incense, and playing with worry bits. In recent years, the younger generation in China has been looking for various ways to obtain inner peace, like praying for good luck. Now it's only 8 in the morning, and you can see there are already long queues behind me outside the Beijing Yonghe Temple, as people are just eagerly waiting to make their prayers.
求事业的，
来求学业的。
我17，他18，
感觉也是一种激励自己的一种方式吧。
求个学业顺利，然后再求个姻缘美满，
然后保佑一下我姐姐的姻缘，希望她找到一个好对象，一种心理寄托吧。
And this has, in turn, given rise to a booming industry related to temple-themed tourism. According to Trip.com, ticket orders for temple-related scenic spots have increased more than 300% on a yearly basis since February, nearly half of it from people born after 90s. While temple tours have become popular among young people, its cultural products have become a trend. For example, worry beads. Many young people, especially girls, are now buying them.
我在小红书做攻略，然后说这个就是求事业，可能比较灵，然后我就想着来试一试。
In many of the bead shops around Yonghe Temple in Beijing, ordinary consumers would generally pay an average price of about 200 yuan for one string. But some people will fork out tens of thousands of yuan or even more for these items.
这都是年轻人。
We've seen a significant increase in the number of customers coming to buy our beads bracelets since last year. The proportion of young people among them were also increasing. Many of them are in the generation born after the 1990s, and they buy beads to pray for their study, work, career, and health.
All for spiritual healing or for chasing fashion trends, this rising demand also triggered a big opportunity for online shopping.
Worry beads is one of the symbols for Chinese traditional religious culture. We will also integrate new means such as handicraft design, customized service, and e-commerce into our business, offering people easier ways to understand this culture.
Meanwhile, new types of businesses such as temple-themed cafes and meditation homestays are also attracting consumers. Traditional holy sites are just becoming much more fun. Experts say that temple-themed spending is a big part of the trend of economic activity based on stress relief currently.
From our research recently, more than 90% of younger interviewees focus on going to temples. More than 50% of them go there mainly for travel. 40% believe that temples could relieve their pressures. Temple tours now has developed into a new way of socializing for youth, which is a new blue sea industry of urban cultural tourism.
As I wandered through those bustling streets, surrounded by those blasting words on the walls, I finally learned that why people tend to come here. Places like Yonghe Temple now truly serve as the shelter for the soul, offering people with hope and comfort. But as the demand for those holy sites grows, experts also warn that we need to balance this growth with careful regulation to protect the traditional religious culture. Xu Yi, CGTN, Beijing.
The 133rd China Import and Export Fair, also known as the Canton Fair, has been ongoing since April 15th and will come to a close this Friday. This year, the event grew to its biggest ever in its 67 years of history, with record numbers in terms of attendance and transactions. Here's a recap of what has been going on. Take a look.
A record 2.2 million visitors have taken part in this year's Canton Fair, and they've all helped the semi-annual trade event rake in a record number of export deals that exceed 17 billion US dollars. Hardcore tech innovation is a key word of the first phase of Canton Fair, which concluded with over 1 million traffic and nearly 13 billion US dollars in deals. The event set up new exhibits this year for smart manufacturing, new energy vehicles, and internet-connected cars, as Chinese exported goods are getting more value added.
5天来，新展区企业受到大量境外采购商关注。
1 in every 5 of the buyers from other countries went to see the new exhibit. They are very interested in such high-tech products.
Variety is a key word of the second phase of the event, where sellers from all over the world carry broad assortment of everyday consumer goods. There's also a great variety in terms of the buyers' mix. More than half of the buyers came from countries taking part in China's Belt and Road Initiative.
We have only even 1 square meter place here. It's a great thing. We had lots of new customers, new friends. Then we make big businesses.
At this year's Canton Fair, exhibitors are more likely to meet buyers from China as the country started inviting local buyers since 2021.
Not only Chinese buyers come here, there are many. They're from Colombia, Russia, Turkey, Japan. So many different countries they came in, even from Africa.
Since its inception in 1957, China's Canton Fair has accumulated a trading volume of more than $1.5 trillion, hosting some 10 million visitors both online and offline. The number will keep growing as China continues to act as a key trade hub for the world. Wang Ke, CGTN.
You're watching Global Business, still to come. The European Central Bank hikes interest rates again Thursday to fight inflation, but at a slower pace as higher borrowing costs take their toll and banking sector fears resurface.
.360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. Biz Talk, only on CGTN.
Now turning to Europe, the European Central Bank just announced that it has raised rates by 25 basis points. Now for more details on that, let's cross to our correspondent Trent Murray in Berlin. Hi there, Trent. So what are the key takeaways on the ECB's latest decision?
Yeah, well, the head of the ECB, Christine Lagarde, is still speaking now. This is only breaking in the past 15 minutes or so. Probably no surprises. We were expecting a rate rise, but it seems that the ECB has just taken the foot off the gas a little bit with only a 25 basis point rise. It means that the benchmark borrowing rate now in Europe is 3.25%. Now, considering that they started from a point of 0% all the way back in July of last year, it shows that there has been significant moves to push up the cost of borrowing, and that is to fight record inflation. Christine Lagarde, speaking at that press conference, said that the inflation outlook remains, and I'll quote here, too high for too long. Now, she did share some economic data, much of it we already knew, which shows the Eurozone is just not growing as fast as they would like. We only had 0.1% GDP growth across the 20 countries that use the euro currency here in Europe. That is too low, according to Madame Lagarde, and for that reason, she says that they are being very, very vigilant in terms of both economic growth and inflation. Now, what we do know as well is that the latest flash numbers when it comes to the inflation rate right now is that it is 7% as of April, so last month, well beyond the 2% target that the ECB governing board has as its core mantra. And for that reason, Madame Lagarde said that the mood amongst the governors was one of determination and focus. They know that there is still a lot more work to do in order to try and boost consumer confidence here in Europe. I think moving forward, we also got some insights into the sort of risk assessments, where the European Central Bank sees the economy here going in the next 3, 6 to 12 months. They say their main concerns right now continue to be credit within the banking system as that cost of borrowing increases. Could that hamper economic growth, particularly for small businesses and households? We also had a mention of the US regional lender crisis. We've seen, of course, many banks in the US having some liquidity problems, First Republic being just one of them. And of course, the war in Ukraine potentially pushing up food and energy prices. So look, I think the takeout message that we've heard, as I say, in the past 15 minutes or so, is that they are taking the foot off the gas slightly, but there still is real concern here about the Eurozone's economic growth moving forward. And for that reason, they are not going to stop with these rate hikes until they believe that they can wrestle that stubbornly high inflation down from 7% to the target of 2%. They've got a little while to go, I would imagine, but they say they are determined to do it.
All right, thank you so much for putting the numbers into perspectives for us. That's Trent Murray for us in Berlin. Now moving on to some other headlines across Europe. The central bank in Norway on Thursday raised its benchmark interest rate by 25 basis points to 3.25% to curb inflation. The central bank said more hikes are likely in June to offset the effects of a weak Norwegian currency. Now, over in Germany, exports fell 5.2% month-on-month in March due to a sharp drop in exports, data released Thursday showed. Exports to EU countries fell by 6.2%, while exports to the US fell 10.9%, and exports to China by 9.3%. German auto giant Volkswagen reported on Thursday the first quarter net profit fell sharply to $5.2 billion in US dollar terms due to accounting effect, while both sales and revenue rose, driven by imported sales in Europe and North America. Volkswagen said commodity hedging pushed up operating profit in the same period last year. Bilateral trade between China and Australia hit a new record high in March, according to Reuters. Data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics showed exports of Australian goods to China rose 31% from last year to 19 billion Australian dollars, or over 12.7 billion US dollars last month. The growth helped lift Australia's total trade surplus to its second highest in history, and this was thanks to a rise in the country's exports of iron ore and thermal coal to China. Now you're watching Global Business, still to come. We take a look at how China's younger generation is shaping the country's future and its labor market when we come back.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Today, China celebrates Youth Day, and we take a look at how China's generation of youth are shaping the country's future and its labor market. Now, despite a declining working age population, the country's young labor force is steadily rising. According to the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, nearly 17 million new young workers are estimated to be seeking jobs in urban areas this year, a record in recent years. Earlier last month, the ministry pledged to alleviate pressures in the jobs market by deploying employment-oriented policy and expanding employment capacity. China plans to create around 12 million urban jobs this year in an effort to bring down unemployment rates in its cities. Vocational jobs are expected to play a large role in this endeavor. Some foreign companies view these opportunities as promising, including one that's training young bakers. Ying Junyi has more.
This vocational school in downtown Shanghai teaches students how to create artisanal and decorative breads. The instructor isn't employed by the school, but by French yeast maker La Save. The school says it has been working with the company for years, much to the benefit of its students.
Our students can get access to high-quality ingredients as the company uses its own products during the classes. The instructors also share real experiences from their careers, plus internship opportunities are available, which will provide excellent training for our students.
The French company has been working with vocational schools in other cities like Beijing, Dandong, and Chongqing. It says more skilled bakers will accelerate the development of the whole industry.
Training courses and practical opportunities we provide are to continuously train baking talents who can adapt to the needs of society. so that students can be successfully employed after graduation. Students have enriched their baking knowledge and opened up new insight into the industry.
German specialty chemicals maker Evonik has just announced a new program with a local vocational college in Shanghai to train the professionals it needs to expand operations in China.
Here in China, we are focusing on the career development of chemical engineering students at vocational schools. It's so important for our industry. Our industry is focusing very much on sustainable, high-quality development, but you can only do it if you have the right talents. And that's why I believe it goes without saying that many other companies will have a strong interest to do the same in our industry.
Some experts say the promising business opportunities in China encourage foreign companies to invest more here, including in vocational education.
外企还是关心在中国的长期的可持续的。
Many foreign companies have long-term plans in China. That's why there's more cooperation between them and vocational schools. They need skilled employees for their businesses. It's also crucial that these programs help students adjust to the workplace after graduation.
短的时间能够适应这个企业的工作的要求，我觉得是非常重要的。
The country's vocational education sector has steadily opened to foreign investors. In addition to partnering with vocational schools or local companies, foreign investors are now allowed to set up wholly foreign-owned training institutions in free trade zones nationwide. 殷俊逸 ICS for CGTN Shanghai.
With the current global trend of digitalization and the adapting of intelligent technology into various industries, economic structures will shift accordingly based on different factors, including changes in population structures. Our reporter Hou Jing talks to an economic and demographic expert to find out how demographic dividend and talent dividend will continue to contribute to China's economic differently.
The demographic dividend is related to the population, but it is not equal to the population in terms of its total number. It's not only the supply of labor. Every new generation of the labor force receives a higher level of education compared to its predecessors. The rate of capital return is higher, and productivity increases at a faster rate. Therefore, all these factors will lead to a stronger economic growth. We call this the demographic dividend. There are people saying that India will soon surpass us to have the world's largest population. I think this prediction may have some value as the news, but it does not necessarily mean that our future growth potential will be lost. And it does not necessarily mean that India will have faster economic growth moving forward. From the experiences of the past decade, demographic dividend is based on good demographic structure. But whether you can turn in the good characteristics of a country's demography into dividend and faster economic growth rate depends also on many other conditions. For example, you need to implement reform and opening up to eliminate a series of institutional barriers to resource allocation. We still have 23% of the employed population in agriculture, while the average proportion of the agricultural labor force in high-income countries is 3%. To sum up, the era of economic growth relying on demographic dividend has ended, and we should quickly make a shift on the driving force of economic growth from relying on labor input and capital input to relying on the improvements of innovation productivity.
转向依靠创新、生产率的提高。
With an increasing number of individuals in China receiving higher education, what stage has China's talent dividend currently reached, and what are the current trends?
总的来说哈，中国这个教育水平是在不断提高的。
Overall, the education level in China has been constantly improving, mainly thanks to two major educational developments in the past. The first was the popularization of 9-year compulsory education, and the other was the expansion of enrollment in universities. In the future, we will indeed encounter a time where we need talent dividends the most. There will be a slowdown in the rate of advancement for new talents in terms of our educational system. Therefore, we must achieve a major breakthrough in the education system and development strategy, meaning that we can further improve the educational level of the future labor force, such as extending the education period.
总体也是在改善我们的劳动力素质，也是人才红利。
Knowledge is one of the drivers of innovation. Recently, Knowledge Art Festival, an event to promote reading, was held in Shanghai's Yangpu district. Bookstores, vendors, and even drama groups gathered, attracting a large number of young people. Zhang Shixuan has more.
Little booths, well decorated with an array of cute stuff for sale. It might be books, bookmarks, accessories, or even flowers. And of course, surrounded by a seemingly endless stream of visitors. They've turned Daxue Road in Shanghai's downtown Yangpu district into an art and literary haven.
I want to have a walk around. I want to buy that bracelet.
I prefer artistic things. I like the postcards.
I want to bring my children here to engage with the atmosphere of knowledge. We live nearby, around 10-minute drive. The bookmarks with dry flowers are interesting.
And the desire among shoppers to get out and about this spring is also presenting opportunities for local businesses.
We mainly sell books regarding traditional culture. When we opened in 2021, there was the pandemic, so we did a lot of promotion, but not many people know about us. We want to further promote our store through this market.
Besides discounts, the store is attempting to lure more book lovers by wrapping books, turning them into mystery purchases. Within the first hour on its booth opening, it sold around 10 books. This is the second street bazaar that Daxue Road has hosted this year.
The business winter last year didn't damp down young graduates' passion for their dream business, but it was anything but an easy road for them. Now, fortunately, as the warm spring comes on time this year, the street bazaar has brought them bold flavors, bright colors, and vibrant energy.
When we established our brand last September, we faced a lot of difficulties. We could not open offline stores or do customer surveys. At this market, it's our brand's debut. The result is way beyond our expectations. We've communicated with the organizer and other booth managers for future cooperation.
Founded by 6 students from Tongji University last year, this plant brand made its first appearance at the last street bazaar in Yangpu a month ago. Its daily sales revenue reached almost 2,000 yen. The street bazaar organizer has been doing everything they can to help the small business ideas sprout.
If the booth managers have new ideas for the market or our community, we welcome them to speak to us. And they can get free booth space at the market in exchange for those ideas.
The Knowledge Art Festival has been particularly popular with local publishing houses, with more than 50 of them among the booths along Daxue Road.
The knowledge and innovation community, with the Daxue Road as a core, has a wide variety of young people. Here are gathered 150,000 college teachers and students, 250,000 office workers, as well as 300,000 residents. They are all people with rich knowledge. Plus, there are many unique bookstores here, so the Knowledge Art Festival is just a beginning.
The spring hasn't just brought fine weather for market stallholders. It's helped to warm up the whole retail sector. The China General Chamber of Commerce's Retail Business Index was 0.2 percentage points higher for April than it was in March. And a survey of urban deposit holders suggests more than 20% of them intend to start spending more. All good signs for the recovery of small businesses. Zhang Shixuan, ICS for CGTN, Shanghai.
And that will do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Amisha Vandenberg in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
This is CGTN, China Global Television Network. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is The Hub with Wang Guan.
Hello and welcome to The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. We're all very familiar with